Vikings, let's win the game.
Vikings fans, the season is over and the locker room is already starting to look different. There is a long list of guys who could be on the way out, and that hits anyone in purple and gold right in the chest. There was also a weird situation tied to a national analyst calling someone out. And in the middle of all that, one name is gaining real momentum behind the scenes as a potential signing. Then the Brian Flores exit talk just got a new chapter with millions of dollars on the table. And the last story, it flat out hurts. But before we break down every detail, hit subscribe to the channel. It is free, and it helps a ton to keep this conversation going every single day. And drop a comment with what you think this team has to fix first. Your opinion matters. There are moments when the season ends, but it does not really hit you until you look around and realize that group will not exist the same way again. The locker room changes, the vibe changes, and who lives and breathes Vikings football feels it for real. This is not just about scheme or a number on the cap. It is about people who were part of the routine, Sunday after Sunday, and now their future is wide open. When the final whistle blew, it was obvious a bunch of guys may have worn purple and gold for the last time, some by choice, others because the league does not forgive, and that is where the heavy names show up. Harrison Smith and C.J. Ham, two symbols of an era, are sitting in that goodbye zone nobody wants to face. One of them has basically made his direction clear, the other is still thinking it through, but everyone knows the clock does not stop. Further down the list, the tone changes. Eric Wilson played like very few have played in this recent defense. It was pure impact. He was everywhere, the kind of guy who gets fans off the couch. Jalen Naylor is in that mix too. He grew, he showed up, he delivered. Now he could absolutely go chase something bigger elsewhere if the team decides to move in a different direction on offense. Then you hit the less glamorous but necessary part. Players who came and went fast, short deals, bets that did not hit or never really got a fair shot. Carson Wentz, Ryan Wright, Ty Chandler, Okudah, Moreau, Rondale Moore. Those names help explain how this roster was built in the margins. Some come back, others disappear. That is the normal NFL cycle, even when it stings to admit. And you cannot ignore the possible cuts. The cold part of the conversation: Ryan Kelly, Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave, T.J. Hawkinson, Aaron Jones. This is where money, age, injury, and production collide. Every case has its own weight. Every decision has a direct impact on the field. Being totally honest with you, this is the part that ties your stomach in knots. Because it is not always the guys who did the least that end up leaving. Sometimes it is the guys the cap forces you to sacrifice. In the middle of all that, you get that weird feeling. The end and the beginning at the same time. Only here do you get this Vikings fan read with no polish. No spreadsheets telling you how to feel. Tell me in the comments what you would do differently with this cleanup. Who are you keeping? Who are you letting walk? And stay with me, because the next story flips the whole mood. It is about leadership, an in-game decision, and a moment that split a lot of people in the stands. It is crazy how a win can still feel weird. The team beat the Packers 16-3, and the post-game conversation still turned into something else, because the moment on offense was not about a pretty throw. It was about a guy basically saying, "I cannot go anymore." And in Minnesota, that always turns into an instant debate. In the middle of the third quarter, the pain took over and the quarterback stepped out. That is when the name comes in. J.J. McCarthy decided to pull himself because of his throwing hand, which had already been bothering him. He had a small fracture, the kind that makes you second-guess your grip, and he had already missed the Lions game because of it, so it was not out of nowhere. But the way it happened split everyone. It was mid-drive. One pass play, and that was it. No waiting to finish the series. He even apologized to his teammates right there. That matters, because the quarterback is the lighthouse. When that light flickers, everyone sees it. There was a moment that looked straight out of a movie, a towel over the hand, holding it behind his body, the face of someone trying to hide it. I saw it and thought, here comes the storm, and it came. Ben Lieber, who played here and now works as a radio analyst, said he did not like it, not just the exit itself, the theatrics, in his words. He focused on the optics. He also talked about body language and what that communicates to the locker room. Lieber's point was basically this: if there is no bone sticking out and it is not deformed, you do not need to cover it up like it is a state secret. The point is simple. The NFL is brutal, and quarterbacks are always being judged by posture, especially a 22-year-old with a reputation for getting banged up. And then the history shows up and nobody can ignore it. He lost his rookie year to a knee issue. This year he has already had more than one physical scare. He has only played 10 games as a starter since being drafted, so every gesture becomes fuel. Now, I also get McCarthy's side. He said later he tried to fight through similar pain against the Giants, and it ended in a strip sack and a defensive touchdown. That sticks in your head. Nobody wants to repeat the mistake that hands a game away. And he said he was thinking about what was best for the team, so you cannot call it quitting without knowing the real pain. But being totally honest with you, stepping out in the middle of a series looks terrible on video, especially right after a pass play. It feels like he should have let the coaches and the training staff make that call the right way. Fans are going to argue about this for weeks. Some will say health comes first. Some will say you have to gut it out. I land in the middle. If you are hurt, protect your career, but learn the timing and the look. That is leadership too. And here is the kicker. If the front office does not trust he will be fully healthy, they are going to shop for a real plan B. And there is a very specific name already being thrown around as a possible backup. The dust has not even settled and you can already hear the classic off-season buzz. Bar talk, group chats, everybody has a different theory. Because one thing is clear, the team does not want to blow everything up. But it also cannot pretend nothing happened at the most sensitive position in football. The idea floating around is not a total breakup, it is protection. Building a safety net for next season. That is where the Plan B concept comes in. The guy who can steady the ship if the starter's body does not cooperate. It is not about taking the job right now, it is about being ready. When the name started to pop up, a lot of people made a face. And here it is. Mitchell Trubisky, former Bears quarterback. Yeah, I know just hearing it can make your skin crawl, but breathe. This is not rival nostalgia. It is not a big dream swing. It is a specific role. A veteran who has started games. He has taken hits in this league, and now he understands what he is. This idea was pushed by people on the national side. A national analyst. The logic is simple. Trubisky has spent the last few years in Buffalo sharing a room with Josh Allen. Strong quarterback room. Competitive environment. That matters. Especially for a young guy who is still learning how to live through the physical grind of the NFL. The plan, according to people who follow this closely, is not to change the direction of the project. J.J. McCarthy is still viewed as the guy to develop. But the team is tired of relying on luck. They want someone who can handle a few weeks without the offense turning into a disaster. And whether you like the name or not, Trubisky fits that functional backup mold. The coaching factor matters too. Kevin O'Connell has a reputation for working with quarterbacks. He has helped revive careers. He has cleaned up reads. He has simplified the game. It is not a miracle promise, but it is a better environment than a lot of places. Now, being totally honest with you, this says more about doubt than it does about the upgrade itself. When a team is talking quarterback support this early, it means they are not sleeping easy. It is risk management, and that is not small. Fans in purple and gold will debate this until they are sick of it. Some will call it an overreaction. Some will call it smart planning. I am curious. Because depending on who comes in, the pressure shifts, and McCarthy is going to feel it. Only here do you get this fan read with no gloss. Straight in your face. Talk to me in the comments. Would you accept that name as the backup? Or do you think this starts off on the wrong foot? And keep your eyes on the next one. Because this is not about a player. It is about someone who could change the direction of this entire roster. Out of nowhere, the conversation jumped from the field straight into the front office suite because there is a key figure in charge who is being pulled toward another direction. And that could shake everything. The Vikings defense became tough this year. And a lot of people point to one guy as the engine behind it. After all the speculation, the name at the center is Brian Flores. His contract is ending on January 14th, and the noise linking him to the Raiders' head coaching job is getting louder. Yes, Las Vegas, the place that loves a bold move and does not ask permission. That buzz got even hotter when Pete Carroll was fired there. Then a big chair opens up, and when it opens, you get national voices jumping in. Peter Schrager from ESPN was very direct. He said the Raiders should look at the Patriots package and try to pair Flores with people who have won with Tom Brady. And here is the irony. Brady has a real voice in the Raiders organization. He is not the only owner, but he has influence. I am going to be straight with you. This worries me more than any free agent list, because losing a good coordinator is bad. Losing the guy who built this defense's personality can be brutal. Flores does not just call plays, he changes attitude. He makes average players look dangerous, and you do not always see that in a Sunday stat sheet. There is also the angle fans love to chew on. If he leaves to become a head coach, there could be draft compensation. People are talking about 2 third-round picks. That would be a relief for building the roster. But there is a catch. His deal expires on January 14th. Then you get into rule talk. If the contract ends and he simply signs elsewhere, does it still count the same way for those picks? Nobody has locked it down. and the NFL loves gray areas when it is convenient. Now picture the trade-off. You get picks, but you lose the brain of the defense. So I will ask you, is it worth it? I am torn. Draft capital is gold, but continuity is also gold, and this team is trying to escape the almost cycle. You cannot restart every year, and there is another layer. If Flores leaves, the locker room feels it. Players buy into a coordinator, especially one who backs them up and holds them accountable in the same breath. I can already see someone thinking, if the commander is gone, what is the direction now? That hits everybody. I know some fans will say, relax, the scheme stays. But a scheme without the guy who lives it every day changes, and it changes fast. So take a breath, Purple Faithful. Because the next story is not about a hypothetical future. It is a goodbye in real time with honors, emotion, and the kind of silence that gives you chills. There are Sundays that look like a normal game, controlled score, packed stadium, the usual energy. But underneath it, there was a different weight. You could feel it in the way the crowd sang. You could see it in the eyes on the field. Because people were saying goodbye, or at least staring that possibility in the face. Instead of starting with stats, I start with the scene. US Bank Stadium locked in on two names. And here is who hit everyone, C.J. Ham and Harrison Smith. The two longest tenured guys on the roster, two living symbols of purple and gold. And they were honored like it was the final lap. Ham has basically told you the ending. In the locker room after the game, he spoke with his heart in his hand. It sounded like he is done, like he wants to be with his family, like he wants to watch his kids grow up and live life outside football. And look, I cannot argue with that. It just hurts. Because he has always been the face of the Vikings who works quietly and delivers when nobody's looking. And there was poetry on the field too. The only touchdown came from him, 1 yard straight ahead, fullback style. And he also made a one-handed grab that woke the stadium up. It was like, see, he still has it. But your body and your mind speak louder at this stage. On the other side, Harrison Smith was treated like a legend in real time. Last defender announced in the tunnel. The place exploded. Former teammates showed up in number 22. There was even a fourth quarter timeout just to honor him as he left the field. That is not normal. That is a ceremony. That is Minnesota saying, we know who you are. And Smith, being Smith, was blunt and honest. He said he has things to think about. He joked it felt like he was at his own funeral. I laughed, but it was nervous, because that is so him, and it is also sad. He has played 207 regular season games all here. He has 39 interceptions in his career. He is still playing at a high level, even with age knocking on the door. So the question is he done because he wants to be, or because time finally won? The coolest part was the respect between them. Smith said he wanted Ham to have the coin toss moment to himself. No sharing the spotlight. That is locker room stuff. That is real leadership. Those little moments the camera catches for 2 seconds, and you instantly understand how big the guy is. And now I zoom back out to this whole conversation. You saw the exit list. You saw the quarterback debate. You saw the risk of losing the brain of the defense. Then you get this moment and you understand what Kevin O'Connell said at the end. This group, as it is, will not exist anymore. I'm going to say it out loud. If this team does not learn how to protect its leaders and plan the next step with patience, we are going to stay trapped in this restart loop. And enough is enough. Fans in purple and gold deserve continuity, and they deserve a real shot at something big. Talk to me in the comments, because this space belongs to who lives and breathes Vikings football. Who do you want back? Who can you accept losing? And most of all, how do you want this team to honor the legacy of number 22 and Ham from here on out? This is where it really hits. You look at the exit list and you feel the cost of the NFL. You see J.J. McCarthy at the edge and you remember how unforgiving the quarterback spot is. You hear Brian Flores being tied to another team and you can already picture the defense losing its identity. And when C.J. Ham and Harrison Smith get those tributes, your chest tightens. I will put it like this. The 2026 season is going to tell us whether this group learned how to flip the switch or whether it is about to start over again. Talk to me in the comments, because this space belongs to who lives and breathes Vikings football. Stay tuned. SKOL Vikings, let's go.